Are you familiar with the 10 Commandments for Danes? It's sometimes referred to as the 10 Commandments of non-cooperation. First, I want to read to you here from Ignite Peace. When the Nazis invaded Denmark in 1940, the Danes had a choice. They could comply or they could be defiant. As ICE enters our neighborhoods, disregarding due process, snatching neighbors and children off of our streets, holding people in heinous conditions, we have the opportunity to comply or the opportunity to be brave. Over the last year, and as we start 2026, we have witnessed incredible bravery and defiance. Nonviolence asks us to hold two hands, one that offers love and reception, and the other that says, stop. I will not let this violence occur. From LA to Chicago to Charlotte to Memphis to Minneapolis to Portland, Oregon, we have watched as people have chosen to be brave, to be creative, and to say, no, we will not accept this. And as we have collectively grieved Renee Nicole Good, and then after this was put out, Alex Preddy was murdered, we know that this is not without risk. After the invasion in 1940, the Danish government thought that it would be best to cooperate with the Nazis, that this was the best way to keep everyone safe. There is no amount of safety that you can procure for yourself and others by submitting to collaborating with fascism. There is no amount of bending the knee that you can do that will keep you safe from a malignant narcissist, from an authoritarian regime. None. There's none. The minute that you bend the knee and you show them that you can be coerced and manipulated and that they can control you, they'll take a little bit and they'll keep coming back for more. They'll keep upping the ante. They'll increase the intimidation. You will never, never be safe. The only way to be safe against a fascist is to come together with your neighbors and to stand up in courage and resist. We have safety in numbers because we are millions and millions and millions, and they are a couple of hundred fucks who delight in cruelty and inhumanity, and we are leaning into our humanity and our collective strength. So when the Danish government bent the knee, like we're seeing so many corporations do right now, the Danish people were like, what the fuck? No, no. Hundreds of thousands of Danes gathered to sing songs, and from there, a whole network of resistance grew. Through a variety of non-cooperation tactics, they resisted and pushed back against the Nazi occupation, including successfully protecting their Jewish population. During this time, a young Danish teen established the 10 Commandments for Danes. So I want to read you this list of the 10 Danish commandments for non-cooperation, and then I want you to think, like, if we had our own list of 10, what would they be? Also, let me just say here really quickly, I recently made a big long Substack post about how we're building this ship as we're sailing it, and we're going to try all kinds of things and not everything is going to work. It's really important that we try a huge diversity of tactics and that we have some pretty radical acceptance about the fact that probably 95% of those things aren't going to work. That we're going to try an awful lot of different tactics. We're going to try an awful lot of symbols, an awful lot of rallying cries. We're going to try various plans for non-cooperation on a small scale and a huge scale. And some of those are going to catch and they're going to spread rapidly and everybody's going to get on board and we're going to collectively engage in those actions and they're going to have a real and significant impact. But some of those are going to fizzle out. Most of them are probably going to fizzle out, right? People, where we are trying to push yellow bandanas is like the symbol of the resistance. Okay, but the Portland frog is what took off, right? Symbols and actions often arise in the moment kind of spontaneously in response to acts of repression from the regime. And some of them are really going to hit, they're really going to spark and take off and go viral. And what we need is mass non-cooperation. So when you have a tactic that suddenly everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm doing that thing. That sounds like a great idea. I'm totally going to do that. It's going to have a bigger impact, right? And again, most things are not going to succeed, but some are. And what really matters is that we're limber, we're on our feet, we're ready to move, adapt, and respond to what the regime is doing. And we are open to trying new things. We're open to our own creativity and adaptability. And we are believing that we are capable of coming up with effective responses that erode the regime and help us organize and move our resistance forward. And I want to bring this up to remind you that if you try something and it falls flat, that's okay. That's okay. Again, go read my whole Substack post. I'm always trying things. I have failed in life far more times than I have succeeded. And effective resistance movements are the same way. They understand that, like, we got to keep trying things. We never know what will take off. We don't know what will happen next. We don't know what could be effective. And it's often the things that we don't necessarily anticipate. Like a teenage Danish boy sitting down to write out a list of what he felt were the 10 commandments for adopting a non-cooperation mindset with the Nazi regime. And then it went really fucking viral. Everybody, every Dane had a little copy of this, or they memorized it, right? They were sharing this, right, on the down low in secret. So let me read this list to you, because every Dane in World War II knew this list. They committed it to memory and they lived by it, right? This is their 10 commandments. Listen to this list and then think about what are our 10 commandments for the American resistance against fascism. We are being occupied by our own government, which is acting as a monarchical, tyrannical executive, brutal and authoritarian, lawless, illegitimate, and violent. The Danes were occupied by Nazi Germany. We are occupied by the Trump regime, right? The regime and the American people are not the same thing. And it's our duty, it's our American duty to resist, right? To hold the line for the rule of law and the Constitution, the dignity and humanity of our neighbors, and for our way of life. Okay, these 10 commandments, again, be thinking about your own. Okay, remember, the goal here is non-cooperation with the regime. Refusing to go along, refusing to give them aid, that's resistance. And it's the kind of resistance that's accessible to huge numbers of people, not just kind of like radical, revolutionary types. Not that these aren't real significant risks, right? Like non-cooperation carries its own level of risk. Okay, number 1, you must not go work in Germany and Norway. Number 2, you shall do a bad job for the Germans. Number 3, you shall work slowly for the Germans. That's work to rule, right? Number 4, you shall destroy important machines and tools. Number 5, you shall destroy everything that may be of benefit to the Germans. Number 6, you shall delay all transport. Number 7, you shall boycott German and Italian films and papers. Number 8, you must not shop at Nazi stores. Number 9, you must treat traitors for what they are worth. And number 10, you shall protect anyone chased by the Germans. Okay, thinking about the Danes' list of 10 commandments, I want to read here for a moment from Free DC Project on their page about non-cooperation. Non-cooperation refers to the deliberate withholding of labor, buying power, or other forms of participation in a government or other authority. Why it matters, researchers analyzed 35 cases of democratic backsliding that took place between 1991 and 2021. They found that democracies without a civil resistance movement had a 7.5% chance of success, while democracies with a civil resistance movement had a 51.7% chance of success of stopping the backsliding. By the way, when you add in the power of unions, then that becomes between 74 and 82% chance of success at stopping backsliding. When you look at the spectrum of tactics that we can use in civil resistance, the least effective ones are verbal protests. And the most successful tactics, with nearly a 70% success rate, are non-cooperation. Now, I'm going to include the link in the video description for Free DC's list of all of the different forms of non-cooperation. I believe this is Gene Sharp's list of 198 different types of nonviolent direct action. I'm just going to read a couple of them, though, as we're thinking about what if we could distill it down to 10 ways that we as the American people could think about non-cooperation, could help each of us, our neighbors, cultivate non-cooperation as a mindset. Non-cooperation can be really small things like turning your back, staying silent, refusing to put up signs or wear symbols of the regime. It could be something big like mock funerals during the AIDS Act Up movement. They had big die-ins. Boycotts, rent strikes, labor strikes, suspension of social and sports activities, staying at home, offering sanctuary to those targeted by the regime. Lockouts, withdrawal of bank deposits, refusal to pay fees and dues, stall-ins, speak-ins, work to rule, hunger strikes, jury nullification, non-cooperation with conscription, relevant as they're starting a war of aggression in Iran, civil disobedience of illegitimate laws, boycotting, refusing business to government employees, withdrawal, and refusal of allegiance. So what would your resistance group put together as your list of 10 commandments for noncompliance? If you're so inclined, share it with me in the comments.